The elevator lurched to a halt between the 17th and 18th floors, plunging us into a suffocating darkness that smelled of stale coffee and regret. My stepbrother's hand shot out, grabbing my wrist like a lifeline, his breath hot against my neck as the emergency lights flickered on, revealing the raw panic in his eyes I'd spent years pretending not to notice. "Nicholas," Brandon whispered, his voice cracking like thunder outside. "If we're gonna die in here, I can't keep lying to you anymore." I yanked my arm away, heart slamming against my ribs like it was trying to escape the same trap we were in. The building, a sleek midtown Manhattan high-rise where our family's law firm occupied the top floors, had been buzzing with the annual gala all evening. But now it was just us. Two stepbrothers who'd hated each other since the day our parents' Vegas wedding turned us into reluctant family. Or so I'd told myself. The truth? I'd been stealing glances at Brandon's broad shoulders and that cocky grin for 5 years, burying it under layers of sarcasm and slammed doors. Tonight, though, with the storm raging and the power out, those layers were peeling away faster than the rain lashing the windows. "Get off me," I snapped, but my voice betrayed me, trembling like a leaf in the wind. The air conditioner had died with the lights, and the heat was already building, thick and oppressive, mirroring the storm brewing between us. Brandon didn't back down, he never did. At 26, he was the golden boy, tall, built like he spent weekends chopping wood in the Adirondacks instead of closing deals in boardrooms. I was 24, slimmer, wiry from too many late nights running on espresso and ambition, my dark curls a mess from the humidity. Our parents thought we were oil and water. Little did they know we were gasoline and a lit match. He leaned in closer, the faint scent of his cologne, sandalwood and something dangerously masculine, mixing with the metallic tang of fear. "You think I don't see it? The way you look at me when you think I'm not watching." His words hung there, heavier than the silence that followed the elevator's groan. Outside, lightning cracked, illuminating his face in stark white, high cheekbones, lips parted just enough to make my stomach twist. I'd always chalked it up to resentment, the way he'd swoop in as the perfect son, stealing Dad's approval while I clawed for scraps. Mom had died when I was 10, leaving me with a ghost of a father who buried himself in work. Then came Lisa, Brandon's mom, all blonde ambition and southern charm, sweeping Dad off his feet in a whirlwind romance that felt more like a corporate merger. But resentment didn't explain the heat pooling in my gut whenever Brandon brushed past me in the hallway, or the way I'd linger in the kitchen just to hear his laugh echo from the living room. No, that was something darker, something forbidden that I'd locked away like a shameful secret. And now, trapped in this steel coffin 200 feet above the streets of New York, it was clawing its way out. The emergency phone was dead figures, and my phone had 0 bars, the storm frying the signals like everything else. We pounded on the doors, yelled for help until our throats burned, but the building was emptying fast, gala guests fleeing the weather. Minutes stretched into an eternity, the air growing thicker, sweat beading on our foreheads. Brandon slumped against the wall, sliding down until he was sitting on the floor, knees up, head in his hands. "This is bullshit," he muttered. "Of all the nights to get stuck with you." I paced the tiny space, 3 steps one way, 3 back, trying to ignore how his shirt clung to his chest, outlining the ridges of muscle I'd only glimpsed in stolen moments at the pool. "Yeah, well, feel free to teleport out." I'm not thrilled either, but my eyes betrayed me again, flicking to the curve of his neck, the pulse jumping there. God, what was wrong with me? He was my stepbrother. Family. The word tasted like ash. He looked up then, those blue eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that pinned me in place. Why do you hate me so much, Nick? From day one, it's been like pulling teeth. What did I do? His voice was low, edged with hurt I'd never heard before. Crack something in me, a fissure in the wall I'd built. I stopped pacing, leaning against the opposite wall, arms crossed like a shield. You didn't do anything. You're just you. Perfect Brandon, with your easy charm and your mom's money paving the way. Dad looks at you like you're the son he always wanted. The words spilled out bitter, years of pent-up envy uncoiling. But it was more than that. Jealousy twisted with longing, a cocktail I'd been sipping in secret. He laughed, a short, hollow sound. Perfect? Jesus. Nick, you have no idea. He scrubbed a hand over his face, stubble rasping against his palm. Mom married your dad because she was running from her own mess. Dad's affair, the divorce that left us scraping by. I was 21, supposed to be in college on scholarship, but she pulled strings with her new husband's firm to get me an internship. I hate it. Every fake smile, every late night pretending I give a damn about tort law. And you think I'm the enemy, but you're the only real thing in this plastic family. His confession hung there, raw and unexpected. I slid down the wall, mirroring his position, our knees almost touching in the cramped space. The elevator felt smaller now, the world outside reduced to muffled rain and distant thunder. Real, echoed, voice barely above a whisper. What the hell does that mean? Brandon's gaze dropped to my lips, then back up, something electric sparking between us. It means I see you, Nick. The way you fight for every inch, how you light up when you're arguing a case in mock trial. Your fire, and I've been burning up trying not to get too close. He swallowed hard, Adam's apple bobbing. But tonight, fuck it. We're stuck, and life's too short. Before I could process, he lunged forward, closing the gap, his hand cupping the back of my neck as his lips crashed into mine. It wasn't gentle, it was desperate, all teeth and tongue and pent-up years, tasting of whiskey from the gala and the salt of unshed tears. My brain short-circuited, hands fisting in his shirt as I kissed him back, the world narrowing to the heat of his mouth, the scrape of his stubble, the way he groaned low in his throat like I'd unlocked a door he'd chained shut. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed together, breaths mingling in the humid air. Brandon, I started, but he silenced me with a thumb to my lips, eyes dark with a hunger that mirrored my own. Don't say it. Not yet. His fingers trailed down my jaw, igniting sparks. Just let me have this. Let me show you, and God help me, I did. The kiss lingered like a brand, searing through the fog of denial I'd wrapped myself in for so long. Brandon's hands were everywhere, tangling in my curls, sliding under my shirt to trace the dip of my spine, each touch pulling a gasp from me that echoed off the metal walls. It was wrong, so achingly wrong, but in that suspended moment, with the storm howling outside, felt like the only truth we'd ever shared. Nick, he murmured against my collarbone, lips brushing skin as he nipped lightly, sending shivers racing down my arms. I've wanted this since the wedding. That stupid toast you gave, to awkward family dinners and even more awkward silences. I laughed because it was you, cutting through the bullshit. But inside, I was dying to drag you out of there and... He trailed off, but I could fill in the blanks, my body responding with a traitorous ache. I pulled him closer, straddling his lap in the confined space, the friction of our hips drawing a hiss from him. Our shirts came off in a frenzy, discarded like the lies we told ourselves. His chest was a map of freckles and faded scars, one from a childhood bike crash, another from a bar fight in college he'd never talked about. I traced them with my fingers, memorizing the terrain, while he arched into my touch, whispering my name like a prayer. The elevator creaked ominously, a reminder that this wasn't some dream. We were still trapped, still vulnerable. But vulnerability had never felt so liberating. We explored each other with the urgency of prisoners breaking free, mouths mapping necks and shoulders, hands delving lower, teasing promises we both knew we couldn't fully keep in this cage. Brandon's fingers worked my belt open, his breath ragged as he palmed me through fabric, eyes locked on mine with a question I answered by grinding down, stealing his moan. "You're killing me," he growled, flipping us so I was pinned beneath him, the carpeted floor rough against my back. His weight was grounding, real, a counterpoint to the chaos outside. Rain pounded like applause, thunder rumbling approval as he kissed a path down my torso, each press of lips a confession. When his mouth closed over me, hot and insistent, stars burst behind my eyelids, New York City's lights blurring into oblivion. Time lost meaning. It could have been minutes or hours, our bodies a tangle of limbs and whispered endearments. "I love you," he said at one point, the words slipping out unbidden as he held me close in the afterglow, our sweat-slicked skin cooling in the stale air. I froze, heart stuttering. Love? From Brandon, the guy who'd once accidentally spilled beer on my prom tux just to see me squirm? But looking at him then, hair mussed, lips swollen, vulnerability etched in the lines around his eyes, I believed it. "I think. I love you too," I admitted, the words foreign on my tongue but right, like they'd been waiting there all along. We dressed slowly, the high fading into a buzz of contentment laced with dread. What now? The family? The firm? Our lives were a powder keg, and we'd just struck the match. As if on cue, the elevator jolted, lights flickering back to life with a hum. Relief washed over us, mingled with panic. Voices echoed from above, maintenance. Finally. Brandon straightened my tie with trembling hands, his touch lingering. "We tell them." Together. His voice was firm, but his eyes pleaded. I nodded, throat tight. Together. The doors dinged open to a cluster of wide-eyed workers and lingering gala stragglers. Dad was there, face pale, Lisa hovering behind him with a hand on his arm. "Boys, thank God," Dad boomed, pulling us into bear hugs that smelled of cigar smoke and scotch. "We thought, we're fine," Brandon cut in smoothly, that golden boy mask slipping back on. But under it, I saw the crack, the fear of what came next. The ride home in the town car was silent torture. Lisa chattered about the storm. Dad nodded along, oblivious. Brandon and I sat thigh to thigh in the back, the contact electric, a secret humming between us. My phone buzzed. A text from an old hookup, Jake, the barista from Brooklyn who'd been pushing for more. "Missed you at the party. Come over?" I deleted it without replying, but guilt gnawed at the edges. That night, in our shared brownstone on the Upper West Side, perks of the family trust, I couldn't sleep. Brandon's room was across the hall, Door cracked just enough for moonlight to spill out. Padded over, slipping inside like a thief. He was awake, sitting up in bed, sheets pooled around his waist. "Can't stop thinking," he said, pulling me down beside him. "Me neither." We talked then, really talked, for the first time. About the loneliness of boarding school for him after his parents split. The pressure of being the man of the house too young. About my mom's cancer, how I'd learned to grieve in silence so Dad wouldn't break. Laughter mixed with tears, his fingers interlacing with mine as dawn crept in. The next week was a whirlwind of stolen moments. Coffee runs where our knees brushed under tables, late-night case reviews in the office that ended with kisses against filing cabinets. We were careful, texts coded as meeting notes, excuses for family dinners. But the pull was magnetic, undeniable. Brandon planned a weekend getaway to the Catskills, a cabin his mom owned, promising no interruptions, just us. I was packing Friday night when Dad called me into his study. The room was all leather and oak, a shrine to his successes. He sat behind the desk, face grave. "Son, we need to talk about Brandon." My stomach dropped. "What about him?" Dad steepled his fingers. I sharp. "There's been rumors at the firm about his conduct. A client, young associate, filed a complaint. Inappropriate advances." The world tilted. "Brandon? No." But then the pieces clicked. The late nights, the whispers I'd dismissed as office politics. Dad slid a folder across the desk, emails, blurry photos from a work trip to Chicago. Brandon's arm around a guy named Tyler, lips too close, a hotel keycard visible. "It's not what it looks like," I blurted, but even as I said it, doubt crept in. Betrayal, hot and sharp, clawed up my throat. Dad's brow furrowed. "You knew." I shook my head, grabbing the folder and fleeing to my room. The evidence was damning. Flirty messages time-stamped weeks ago, overlapping our first time in the elevator. How could he, after everything? When Brandon got home, reeking of aftershave and lies, I confronted him in the foyer. "Chicago. Tyler. Explain." His face drained of color. "Nick, it's not. Save it." I shoved the folder at him, voice breaking. "You said you loved me. Was that part of the con too?" He snatched my wrist, eyes wild. "No, Tyler was before us. A stupid fling to blow off steam. I ended it the night of the gala. I swear, but the photos mocked me, timestamps glaring. Before? That's your excuse? While I was falling for you. You were. I was scared," he shouted, voice echoing off the marble floors. Lisa's head poked out from the kitchen, concern etching her features, but we ignored her. Scared of this of us. What it means. So yeah, I fucked up, but I chose you. In that elevator, I chose. Tears burned my eyes, hot and furious. Too late, I wrenched free, storming out into the night, the city lights blurring through the rain on my cheeks. The Catskills trip, canceled in my mind. Trust, shattered like glass. Days blurred into a haze of avoidance. Me crashing at Jake's in Brooklyn, ignoring Brandon's voicemails that ranged from pleading to pissed. "Come home. We can fix this." "Why won't you listen?" The firm buzzed with gossip, Dad's disappointed glances like knives. Lisa tried mediating over brunch, her southern drawl soothing. "Families bend. Darlin', they don't break. But mine felt broken. Betrayal wasn't just the fling. It was the secrecy, the reminder that we'd always be hiding. Gay in a world that still side-eyed it. Stepbrothers in a family built on facades. I threw myself into work, prepping for a pro bono case on LGBTQ+ rights, ironic, fighting for love I couldn't claim. Then, the climax hit like a freight train. A week after the blow-up, Dad collapsed at the office, stress-induced heart episode. Doc said. We rushed to Mount Sinai, Brandon beating me there, face ashen in the ER waiting room. He looked up as I entered. Wrecked, he's stable. Asking for you. The sight of him, vulnerable, alone, cracked my resolve. We sat side by side, knees touching, the unspoken chasm yawning. When Dad woke, groggy and hooked to monitors, he gripped our hands. You boys. You're all I have. Don't let stupid shit tear us apart. Stupid shit. If only he knew. Dad's words echoed like a gauntlet thrown, forcing Brandon and me into an uneasy truce. We drove home together that night, the city a neon blur outside the windshield, silence thick as fog. His hands clenched the wheel, knuckles white, mine twisted in my lap, picking at a loose thread on my jeans. The brownstone loomed dark and unwelcoming, a tomb for our secrets. Inside, we lingered in the kitchen, the hum of the fridge the only sound. Brandon poured 2 scotches, Dad's brand, smooth and peaty, handing me one with a tentative smile. To not killing each other tonight? I clinked glasses, the burn steadying my nerves. Truce. For him, we talked around the edges at first, Dad's recovery plan, lightening his load at the firm. But the scotch loosened tongues, and soon we were circling the wound. Tyler meant nothing. Brandon insisted, leaning on the island, eyes earnest. A distraction. I was freaking out about feelings. For you. It scared the shit out of me. I sipped, staring into the amber liquid. Scared me too. Still does. We're stepbrothers, Bran. What if this blows up everything? He reached across, thumb brushing my knuckles. Then we rebuild. Better. The touch ignited embers. And before I knew it, we were kissing again. Slower this time, exploratory, like relearning a language. Upstairs, in his room, we made love with the reverence of second chances, undressing by lamplight, tracing scars and stories with lips and fingers. He whispered poetry against my skin, Yeats, of all things, lines about a heart, but a spaniel following love blindly. I laughed through tears, pulling him closer, our bodies sinking in a rhythm that felt like home. Morning brought clarity and complications. Dad was discharged, insisting on family therapy. No arguments, boys. Lisa's idea, but a good one. The sessions were awkward as hell, Dr. Elena, a no-nonsense shrink with a Brooklyn accent, probing our sibling rivalry while we dodged the truth like pros. But it cracked doors open. Brandon admitting his resentment toward Dad for appending his life. Me voicing the abandonment after Mom. Progress, she called it. Healing. Emboldened, we came out to each other fully, in stolen weekends away. First, that rescheduled Catskills trip. Hiking misty trails hand in hidden hand. Nights by the fire where he'd strum guitar badly. Voice husky on folk tunes. You're my anchor, Nick, he'd say, nuzzling my neck. In this storm of a life, back in the city, we navigated the minefield of secrecy. At the firm, we were colleagues, sharp banter in meetings, professional nods. But elevators? We avoided them like the plague, opting for stares with knowing grins. Jake texted sporadically, but I blocked him, choosing this fragile thing with Brandon over easy escapes. Yet conflict simmered beneath the surface. Lisa cornered me one evening in the garden, her cigarette smoke curling like questions. I see the way you two look at each other, sugar. Like you're sharing a secret bigger than state secrets. Her eyes twinkled, but there was steel there. If it's what I think, be careful. Your father's heart can't take another scare. I denied it, of course, red-faced, stammering, but her knowing smile haunted me. She didn't push, but the warning lingered. Exposure could shatter the family we'd patched together. The real storm brewed at work. The firm landed a high-profile case, defending a tech mogul accused of embezzlement, with ties to conservative donors who loathed anything deviant. Brandon was lead junior. I was research grunt. Late nights bled into dawns, our tension spilling over in the conference room, arguments over strategy that ended with him pinning me against the copier, kisses tasting of coffee and frustration. One night, after a brutal deposition, we celebrated with takeout in his office. Rain lashed the windows again, echo of that fateful gala. "Remember the elevator?" he murmured, feeding me lo mein from chopsticks. I soughed. How could I forget? I leaned in, but a knock interrupted. Tyler, of all people, the ghost from Chicago. Transferred to our branch, clipboard in hand, smile faltering at the scene. Sorry. Just dropping files. His gaze flicked between us, understanding dawning. The air iced over. Brandon stood, all business. Thanks, Ty. Leave em on the desk. Tyler lingered, eyes on me hurt, accusatory. Nick, right? Heard you're the brains behind this circus. The jab landed, laced with jealousy. I bristled. And you're the comic relief? He laughed, sharp. Just saying, watch your back. Some people play dirty. He left, door clicking shut like a guillotine. Brandon paced, jaw tight. Ignore him. He's bitter, but doubt festered. Whispers started. Anonymous emails to HR about unprofessional conduct. Blurry photos from security cams. Nothing explicit, but enough to raise eyebrows. Dad called us in. Face thunderous. What's this I hear about you two butting heads? And Tyler complaining about favoritism. It's nothing, we chorused, but the lie tasted foul. The betrayal came swift and slicing. A week later, I found the leak, Tyler, forwarding our private emails, innocent work stuff, but twisted to imply collusion. Worse, attached was a screenshot of Brandon's phone. A flirty text to Tyler from months back. Missed you last night. Round too soon? Sent after the elevator. Post-confession. My world imploded. I confronted Brandon in the parking garage, rain soaking us as thunder rolled. You lied. Again. I thrust the printout at him, voice raw. Round two? While you were choosing me? He snatched it, eyes widening in horror. That's fake, photoshopped. Tyler's screwing us over. Convenient. Tears mixed with rain. Betrayal a knife twisting deep. I trusted you. After everything. Nick, please. He grabbed my arm, but I shoved him back, chest heaving. No. We're done. Family therapy can't fix this. I stormed to my car, peeling out into the night, heart in shards. The next days were hell. Crashing with a friend in Queens, dodging calls, burying myself in the pro bono case. Dad's donor pulled funding over the scandal. Tyler got a promotion, poetic justice's cruel joke. Lisa left voicemails. Voice cracking. Come home, baby. We love you. But home felt like a cage. The climax peaked at the case's trial, me arguing for the LGBTQ plus shelter against eviction. Voice steady despite the wreck inside. In the gallery, Brandon sat, eyes red-rimmed, a silent sentinel. When I won, judge's gavel echoing like vindication. Our gazes locked, a lifetime passing in that stare. Afterward, in the courthouse lobby, he waited, drenched from another downpour. I didn't touch him. Swear on everything. Hacked my phone. Forged it. HR's investigating. I wanted to believe. God, I did. But trust was a fragile bird. Wings clipped. Why should I? Because I love you. He stepped closer. Voice breaking. Not like before, like forever. Fight for us, Nick. Please. Lightning flashed, illuminating the plea in his eyes. The storm outside mirrored the one in my chest. But beneath it, embers glowed. Humanistic. Messy. Real. We weren't perfect. But maybe that was the point. I didn't go back that night. Instead, I wandered the rain-slicked streets of Midtown, collar up against the chill, mind a whirlwind of what-ifs. The city pulsed around me, horns blaring, neon signs flickering promises of escape, but it all felt hollow without him. Brandon's words echoed, fight for us. But fighting meant risking the family, the firm, the fragile normalcy we'd built. Was love worth that inferno? By dawn, soaked and shivering, I ended up at the shelter I'd just defended, a converted warehouse in Hell's Kitchen, walls painted with murals of intertwined hands in rainbow hues. Maria, the director, brewed me coffee, her noble shit gaze seeing through my facade. You look like a man carrying the weight of the world. Mijo. Spill. Over styrofoam cups. Poured out. The elevator. The passion. The lies. She listened without judgment, then squeezed my hand. Love's not a straight line. Pun intended. It's a detour through hell. But if it's real, you come out forged stronger. Question is, can you forgive? Forgive. The word stuck like burrs. Tyler's sabotage was confirmed by morning. HR fired him. The emails traced to his IP. Brandon's alibi checked out. He'd been at a bar with colleagues. Time-stamped videos proving it. The text? A crude fake. Pixels screaming forgery under scrutiny. But proof wasn't the issue. It was the scar. The fear that betrayal lurked in every shadow. I texted Brandon, meet me at the pier. Noon. The Hudson River walk was gray and gusty, waves chopping against pilings like accusations. He arrived rumpled, hope warring with exhaustion in his stance. We walked in silence at first, shoulders brushing, the space between us a chasm bridged by tentative words. I'm sorry, he started, stopping to face me, wind whipping his hair. For the secrets, the fear. I grew up in a house where Dad's disappointment meant no college fund. Coming out, it would have tanked everything. But with you, it's worth burning it down. I searched his face, seeing the boy who'd lost his way, the man emerging from ashes. I get scared too. Mom's death left me wired for loss. But it's not loss. It's found. He exhaled, pulling me into a hug that smelled of rain and relief. Our kiss was salt-tinged, fierce, sealing a pact under the overcast sky. No more hiding. Telling the parents was a minefield we navigated together. Over dinner that week, roast chicken and Lisa's pecan pie, Dad's favorite, we laid it bare. "We're together," Brandon said, hand finding mine under the table. As in love. The room froze. Dad's fork clattered. Lisa's eyes widened, then softened with that maternal radar. "Well," Dad finally rumbled, rubbing his chest like it ached. "That's unexpected." Unexpected, understatement of the century. Questions flew. How long? The elevator? Blushed through that one. Lisa hugged us first, whispering to Brandon, "Proud of you, baby." Took guts. Dad took longer, pacing the study, cigar unlit. "Your family. Always will be. But the firm. Optics. Optics." The word soured the triumph. Conservative clients. Board whispers our relationship could tank partnerships. "We'll tread light," I promised. "Separate cases. No PDA." He nodded grudgingly. "For now. But don't hide forever. Life's too damn short." Echoes of his heart scare. A humanistic nudge toward authenticity. The firm adapted uneasily. Memos on professional boundaries. Raised eyebrows in the break room. But we carved space. Lunch walks in Central Park, where he'd steal kisses behind oaks. Quiet nights cooking pasta in the brownstone. Lisa joining with stories of her own wild youth. A college girlfriend, tucked away like a faded Polaroid. Romance bloomed in the cracks. Brandon surprised me with tickets to a Broadway revival of Angels in America. Prior Walter's defiance mirroring our own. In the dim theater, his hand in mine, tears streaming during the epilogue. We whispered vows. No more betrayals. Just us, building something real. But drama wasn't done with us. Enter Alex, Brandon's old college roommate, crashing in New York for a week. Charming, blonde, with a laugh like summer and zero boundaries. He flirted shamelessly over beers at our local dive, arms slung around Brandon's shoulders. "Remember that threesome in sophomore year? Epic." Jealousy flared, irrational but hot. I excused myself to the bathroom, splashing water on my face. Maria's words a mantra, "Forgive." But when I returned, Alex was too close, murmuring something that made Brandon flush. Later, in bed, I confronted it, voice tight, walls up. "He's into you. And you're..." "What?" "Nostalgic." Brandon sighed, rolling to face me, moonlight striping his chest. "Alex is chaos. Nick. Fun. But empty. You're home." He kissed my doubts away, slow and thorough, bodies entwining until words weren't needed. Trust rebuilt, layer by layer. The emotional peak came unexpectedly. Dad's retirement gala, 6 months later. Black tie, chandeliers dripping light over the ballroom. We danced discreetly, hands at waists as jazz swelled. Halfway through, Dad cut in, twirling me awkwardly. "You make him happy," he grunted, eyes misty. "That's all a father wants." Lisa pulled Brandon aside, then me, pressing envelopes into our hands. Deeds to a co-op in Chelsea. "For when you're ready to fly the nest." Her wink, Wings clipped no more, but humanism demands shadows. A client pulled out mid-party, citing moral misalignment. Whispers followed. Stepbrothers? Scandal. Dad weathered it, announcing semi-retirement with a nod to evolving family values. We moved into the co-op that fall. Boxes unpacked to the sound of laughter and vinyl records. Springsteen for nostalgia, Hosier for heat. Mornings tangled in sheets. Evenings on the fire escape watching sunsets gild the skyline. Love wasn't flawless. Arguments flared over chores, career stresses. But we talked, therapy-honed skills turning fights into bridges. One stormy night, power flickering, Brandon pulled me to the window. Deja vu? He teased, nuzzling my ear. I grinned, turning in his arms. This time, no elevator. Just us. Thunder rumbled, but inside, we were steady, a romance forged in crisis, humanistic in its imperfections. Betrayal's scar faded to a reminder. Love demands courage, forgiveness, the willingness to hold back nothing. And in America's beating heart, amid the grind and glitter, we held on. Yet even in our fragile peace, the world conspired to test us. Winter gripped New York like a jealous lover, blizzards blanketing the streets, holidays looming with their obligatory cheer. Our first Christmas as a couple was a tightrope. Dad and Lisa's traditional feast, complete with eggnog and carols, but now laced with the unspoken rule of discretion. No gifts exchanged under the tree that screamed lovers, just nods to brothers with a shared, aching glance. Brandon thrived on the challenge, sneaking me a slim box that night in the co-op, a silver keychain engraved with anchor and flame, our private emblem. For the car, he said innocently, but his eyes promised more. I reciprocated with a leather-bound journal, pages filled with sketches of us, elevator trysts, Catskills hikes, rendered in pencil strokes that captured his smirk. My intensity. But romance's glow dimmed under reality's weight. The firm reeled from lost clients. Dad leaned harder on us, his health a ticking clock. Brandon buried stress in work, coming home late, scotch on his breath. I'd wait up, novels unread, resentment simmering. You're turning into him, I accused one night, as snow howled outside. All ambition. Know us. He flinched, unbuttoning his shirt with weary hands. I'm providing, Nick. For us. For the future you want, kids. Maybe. Or that beach house dream. Kids. The word hung. A curveball. I'd fantasized adoption. A family of our own. But voicing it felt like tempting fate. I want you now. Not some ghost of tomorrow. We made up fiercely. Bodies a battlefield of apologies. But the seed of doubt sprouted. Enter conflict's sharp edge. An offer from a rival firm in San Francisco. Brandon agonized over dinner, sourdough from the corner bakery. Steam rising like unspoken fears. Double the pay. Partner track. But it means leaving. Everything. Everything. The brownstone. Lisa's pies. Dad's gruff pride. Me. My throat tightened. And us? Long distance in this climate. He reached for my hand. Calluses rough from weekend woodworking. A hobby he'd picked up to unwind. We'd make it work. Flights. FaceTime. It's a chance to build something big. Big. Ambition's siren song. The same that had driven his Chicago slip. Betrayal's echo whispered. He'll choose career over you. I pulled away, heart pounding. or it's an escape from the mess we made. His face hardened, blue eyes storming. That's not fair. This is for us, to get out from under Dad's shadow. Live openly where it's not a scandal. The fight escalated. Words like shrapnel. My accusations of selfishness. His of clinging to comfort. Doors slammed. Silence stretched. He slept on the couch. I tossed in our bed. Sheets cold without his warmth. Dawn brought regret. I found him in the kitchen. Coffee brewing. Eyes shadowed. I'm sorry, I started, but he held up a hand. Me too. Let's table it. For now. Truce. Fragile as frost. The holidays passed in a blur of forced jollity. Tree trimming with Lisa's ornaments. Dad's stories of 80s deals. Underneath, tension coiled. New Year's Eve. We watched the ball drop from a rooftop bar. Arms around waists in the crowd's anonymity. Fireworks burst. Champagne fizzed. But his kiss tasted bittersweet. January thawed the snow but not our rift. Therapy helped, Dr. Elena, now our couple's counselor, prodding with gentle barbs. What do you fear most? Brandon? She asked. Losing him, he admitted, voice cracking. Again. And you, Nicholas, being left behind. Like always, Sessions' unearthed roots. His fear of poverty's return, my terror of abandonment's void. Humanistic work, messy, incremental. Then, the universe intervened. Dad's checkup revealed a shadow on his lung. Not cancer, but a warning. Slow down, the doc urged. He did, handing reins to us fully. The firm stabilized. Clients trickling back as our story leaked. The stepbrothers who saved the firm in a glossy mag spun positive. Brandon declined the SF offer, emailing a polite no. You're my future, he told me over Thai takeout. Eyes steady. Relief flooded me, but so did guilt. What if you resent it? He grinned, that cocky tilt returning. Nah. We'll make our own path. Maybe start our own practice LGBTQ+ focused. Fight the good fight. Like your pro bono fire. The idea ignited us. Late nights brainstorming logos, niches, a mission to humanize law for the marginalized. Passion reignited, spilling into bedroom laughter. Lazy Sundays tangled in limbs. Spring bloomed with promise. We hosted our first dinner party, friends from the shelter, a mix of straights and queers, toasting to found family. Alex visited, behavior chastened, toasting our epic love story with a wink that didn't sting anymore. But climax loomed in summer heat. A landmark case. Suing a corporation for discriminatory firing of a gay employee. Brandon lead, me co-counsel our Synergy Electric in court, dismantling arguments with precision. The jury deliberated 2 days. We waited in a diner, hands linked under the Formica table. Verdict: win. Headlines screamed stepbrother lawyers' triumph for equality. Backlash followed, trolls online. A donor's boycott, but so did support. Letters from kids coming out. Inspired by our courage. Exhausted, elated, we celebrated on our fire escape. City lights winking below. To us, Brandon toasted with cheap wine, pulling me onto his lap. To holding back nothing, our kiss deepened, hands roaming freely, the night alive with possibility. Yet romance demands depth, not just highs. Dad's health waned. We moved him closer, Lisa grateful. In quiet moments, Brandon confessed fears. What if I'm not enough? For you? For this life? I cupped his face, thumb tracing his scar. You're everything. Flaws and all. Fall brought harvest. Our practice launched, Haven Law Group, a beacon in Chelsea. Clients poured in, stories of pain and perseverance mirroring ours. Humanistic triumph, not flawless, but real. Winter circled again, anniversary approaching. On the date of that elevator trap, Brandon blindfolded me, leading to the high-rise garage. Trust me, always. The elevator ride, our first voluntary one, ended at the roof, decked in lights and a picnic under stars. Full circle, he whispered, unveiling a ring, simple platinum, engraved forever found. Not marriage, he clarified, seeing my wide eyes. Not yet. But a promise. Tears pricked. Yes, we made love under the skyline. Bodies and souls entwined. The city our witness. Betrayal's ghost, banished. Conflict, conquered through talk, touch, tenacity. In America's vast tapestry, diverse, divided, defiant, we wove our thread, two men, stepbrothers turned lovers, choosing humanism over hate. Dramatic falls, emotional rises, romantic fire, a story not of perfection, but persistence. And in that, we found grace.